Hey everyone, this is Raven, and welcome back to my recap and review of Animal Kingdom Season number 4, Episode number 2, which is titled Angela. And I already went over the synopsis for this episode. So a new character by the name Angela is going to appear in this episode. So I was very interested to see how she ends up interacting with the Codys and what kind of a past she shares with them. Anyway, the episode Angela opens up with the Cody sitting around the table and Joshua is handing out their cuts because the job they did ended up being successful in the previous episode. So I guess everyone gets like 10 grand each, and the rest of the money Joshua will be money laundering through all of their rentals and stuff like that. So Pope really isn't interested in any of this. So he just when Joshua is done dividing all of the money, Pope gets up and leaves. Darren has to go back to Adrian, so he leaves too. Craig also leaves because he needs to go and talk to Pope, and that leaves Joshua and Smurf. And Joshua even ends up giving Smurf haircut, and Smurf is like, "Well, thank you." But before that, there was a weird interaction when all of the boys were sitting around the table. Smurf and Joshua had a little bit of an argument, you might say, about which properties they need to put the money on in order to money launder all of it. And Smurf mentioned a property, and Joshua is like, we don't need to put money on that property. We are going to put the money on the property that I recommend, and stuff like that. So Smurf was like, you know what, Joshua, you do you. So anyway, as I said, everyone walks away except for Smurf and Joshua. We'll get back to them later. So Craig ends up going and talking to Pope because, of course, in the previous episode, we saw that Pope is not in the right mental state right now. If it were up to him, he would be dead. He just wants to die. He is not interested in life anymore. And Craig tells Pope that he shouldn't be like that, that there needs to be a way for him to get away from Smurf, and that Craig will probably end up finding a way to help Pope. So coming back to the table, like I said, Joshua ends up giving Smurf her cut, and Smurf is like, "Thank you, baby," but you know that she's just lying. And when Joshua walks away, Smurf just throws the money on the table. Smurf is not interested in the money that Joshua is giving her. Smurf is interested in taking Joshua down, and I'm looking forward to seeing the outcome of the battle between Joshua and Smurf. Okay, Joshua is a smart boy. He's a psychopath, but he's also smart. However, Smurf is smart, and Smurf has a lot of experience. So it might just come out. So it might just come down to who has the most experience. Anyway, we get a flashback. And like I said, Smurf's face, she's planning something, and I'm here for it. So we get a flashback to a younger version of Janine, and she is just thinking about something. And her then boyfriend, Jake, I guess that's his name. I'm not really interested in remembering the names of these people in the flashbacks. So anyway, Jake is like, why did you cut your hair? I liked it longer, and you should have asked me first. And Janine is like, excuse me, asked you first? And stuff like that. So Jake just walks away, and he needs to go to the bathroom and yada, yada, yada. And while all of that is happening, Janine lights a cigarette, and she hears an altercation outside as if someone is fighting. She goes to see what's up, and the rest of the boys in the group that Janine hangs out with, one of the people, the white guy, is beating up this person for some reason. Maybe because it was because of him that in the previous episode that man in the bank was able to take his gun out. So this guy is getting punished for that. And you can see that Janine is thinking now. After seeing that this guy who was beating the other person had more power, I could tell that Janine is someone who has a lot of survival skills. She knows that in order to have a place of power in the group that she hangs out with, she needs to hook up with the boss. So you can really see all of that being portrayed by this talented actress over here. So anyway, over to the present time, Janine wakes up. She's not feeling well. And she goes to the bathroom. Like I said, she's just not feeling well. And kudos to Ellen Barkin for giving her all in the scene. this no makeup look. Janine looks sick. She looks tired. I love the acting in that entire scene. So over at Darren and Adrian's place, these two probably, yeah, they just finished doing it and they're just laying down. And Adrian gets up and he's talking about how he needs to go surf and practice and stuff like that. And Darren is like, can I come with you? And Adrian is like, nah, you can't. I just need to focus. I don't want any distractions right now. And you can see that Adrian is really trying to keep his distance from Darren as much as possible. And Darren, yeah, Darren suspects something. Darren is smart. So anyway, Adrian lies about the entire thing, and he gets up and he wears Darren's shorts. And Darren is like, those are my favorite shorts. And Adrian is like, yeah, I know. They're comfortable and I'm just wearing them. And yeah, it's a fun little scene. And there's a lot of, this season of Animal Kingdom is showing a lot of romance between these two. So I really hope nothing bad happens. Now there is a speculation because the official Twitter account for Animal Kingdom ended up sharing this promo video behind the scenes look. And in that look, Darren, or the actor Jake Weary, was wearing a wedding ring while in his Darren getup. So there are some theories about Darren possibly ending up marrying Adrian to protect him from the feds, because according to the law, spouses aren't really required to testify against their husband or wife or spouse, you know? So maybe that's a way that Darren is like, I'm going to protect my Adrian like that. But then again, the person that we need to be worried about is Smurf, because if Smurf finds out that Adrian is connected to the Fed somehow, bye-bye, Adrian. So anyway, Darren ends up giving Adrian some money. He's like, go and buy your own shorts, because Darren wants to help Adrian because he knows that Adrian is broke. He isn't getting any sponsorships and stuff like that. And Adrian is like, the only way that a relationship can work is if we are equal in this relationship. And besides, I've got a new sponsor, which surprises Darren because Adrian hasn't been doing well in the surfing circuit. Anyway, again, a lot of romance, a lot of stuff going on. Yeah, a lot of romance. And Darren is like, okay, you got yourself a sponsor, but I still want those shorts back. And Adrian is like, why don't you get these shorts off yourself? And again, a lot of romance happening. And I have to talk about Darren's hair because I don't like this part over here, this gelled up stuff. I really hope that he goes back to having his longer hair. Anyway, like I said, the writers are giving us a lot of Adrian and Darren romance. I just hope that nothing, I mean, of course, something bad is going to happen to these two, but I don't want that bad thing to be so extreme that their relationship can't be fixed. So moving on, Frankie decides to give Craig a visit, and she has a job and she wants Craig to be ready. She hands him a new suit and also an address and tells him to meet her at the time. And I'm a fan of Frankie. I like how she's off doing her own thing and she's good at it. So over with what's happening with Joshua, he goes to the bowling alley that he owns, and when he gets out of the car, we have this detective or inspector come out and reach out to talk to him about Morgan's death. And Joshua is like, I don't know about anything about Morgan. I knew her, but that was it. I knew her through Smurf because when my grandmother was in jail, I had to take care of all of her finances, and that's how I know about Morgan. And the detective is like, okay, I'll reach out to you again. And considering how smart Smurf is, it was very obvious to me that this person was sent by Smurf. And I was actually glad to know that my speculation was correct. So over at the bowling alley, Joshua goes to Mia and he's like, Mia, when you paid the ferry person, was there anyone who saw you and yada, yada, yada? And Mia was like, yep, there were cameras. Other people might have seen me. And Joshua is angry about it. And I liked Mia's reply or response to Joshua about that she's not a ninja. So she can't always be in that impressive stealth mode. So Joshua goes to his house and turns out that 2P Tupi, whatever his name is. Again, I'm not really interested in remembering these people's names because these are murderers. They are bad people. I can't care about them less, including Joshua. But I know his name because we have stuck with him from the beginning of the series. Anyway, Tupi is there, and Mia introduces Tupi as her foster brother, and Joshua is like, can you please leave my office? And Tupi is like, okay, no problem. And he goes. So Joshua gives Mia a scolding about how he doesn't want any of her friends or foster brother or any family relative hanging around in the office. And Mia is like, yeah, I understand. And yeah, Joshua is really he's going against Mia, and he doesn't really know how dangerous Mia is. So you know that Mia's probably going to think of something about how to get back at Joshua. So over at Darren's pub or bar, we see Craig, and Craig is asking Darren to help Pope out somehow because Pope needs a job. Pope needs an excuse to get away from Smurf, and he wants Darren to ask Pope to work at the bar. And Darren is like, nope, Pope is not in the right mental state. I ain't risking it. So again, a flashback, we see Janine sleeping with her boyfriend, Jake, and she wakes up, she sees the white guy, and he wants her to come with him because they need to trash the car. And then we come to the present moment, and Janine is not feeling well. She calls Craig, and she asks Craig for some Oxy. And Craig tells her that he has some Oxy stored in a little container in the garage, and Smurf goes to take it. And when she goes out, we see that Pope is practicing for his mixed martial arts or cage match. And after Smurf has taken the meds, she goes and there's interaction between the two. And yeah, Smurf is worried about Pope in her own way. And Pope just has had enough with Smurf, and Smurf is like, baby, everything I do for you. And Pope is like, no, everything you do for yourself. You have done nothing for me. Just look at me. I don't have nothing. And kudos to Pope, the actor who plays Pope, because when he screams nothing, there's like a crack in his voice as if he's close to tearing up. I really like that artistic decision to add that cracked voice in there when he yells and his voice cracks, because you know that he's so to portray that, yes, Pope is in a very emotional state right now. So again, with the flashbacks, and yes, I know that there are people who aren't fan of flashbacks, but personally, I am a fan of flashbacks, especially these Janine-centric flashbacks, because there is so much about Janine that we don't know. And I want to know more about how she ended up creating an empire for herself. So while they're in the car, that guy asks Janine about why she's here and what's up with her. And Janine tries to answer all the questions. Yeah, this guy. Again, I don't remember his name at all. So moving on, they throw the car and they have to jump out of the car, and they do. And you can tell that Janine knows that this guy holds the power in the group that she's hanging out with. So Janine ends up hooking up with him because, you know, she wants power, and she can see how she can find ways to get the powers or the things that she wants. So these two hook up. Then we come back to the present, and Joshua comes back home from school, I presume. And Smurf tells him that an inspector came by and he was asking about Morgan, and he left his card. So again, a very intense scenes between Joshua and Smurf where, yeah, Smurf knows that Joshua killed Morgan, but she can't say it outright. So these two play a game, and it's amazing. Seeing Joshua interacting with Smurf this season is amazing because you can feel the tension between these two. So Smurf is like, you know what, baby, I'll fix this for you. And she does that. So over at the beach, Adrian is done practicing and he comes back to his car. So the guy who uses Adrian to smuggle drugs is already there. And he tells Adrian about the package that he needs to get from the warehouse. And he needs to deliver it to Japan and yada, yada, yada. And then Darren, of all people, comes to the scene, even though Adrian told Darren not to come after him. And again, Adrian is keeping his distance from Darren, and Darren recognizes the guy who is smuggling the drugs to Adrian. And Darren even asks Adrian if that guy is still like dealing, and Adrian is like, "How would I know?" Again, Adrian, you're just digging a hole for yourself, and it just keeps on getting deeper and deeper. You need to figure things out. So over at the bowling alley, Tupi is not happy that Mia introduced him his as her foster brother, and that she has possibly has feelings for Joshua. And Mia is like, "You need to be patient. I'm working on something," and yada yada yada. So, yep, Adrian ends up telling the inspector, the Fed that he's working with, about how the drugs are going to be smuggled out this time. Apparently, they're using these traction pads for the surfboards. So the Fed is like, "Yep, I get it. I appreciate your help." Now, who was that other guy that you were talking with? And that was the scene or the moment where I was like, "Yep, Adrian, these feds are now going to use you to get to the Codys." And I don't like that. I don't like that at all. And Adrian is like, "Darren Cody." He gives Darren's actual name. And oh, it's going to be a mess between these two. So over at Smurf's place, Pope is watching TV or just pretending that he's watching TV. And a new character by the name Angela, she's Angela, she comes for a visit, and Smurf notices her, and she knows who Angela is. So without telling Pope, she goes and meets Angela, and Angela is like, "I came by to ask about your daughter, what she's up to, and that she went to her old place, but she wasn't there." And Smurf is like, "What? You know what? My daughter's dead, and you need to leave." Again, there's history between Angela and Smurf just hands her $100 bill because she knows that Angela is a druggie, she's an addict, and she just wants her to leave. So she gives her $100 bill because she doesn't want her coming near Pope. So over at Frankie and Craig, they go to this rich guy's home, and he offers them a job. Apparently, there's this sculpture that they need to steal. And this guy is so rich, but he was outbid at an auction, and that's why he needs the sculpture for himself. Now, talking about this actor, I recently saw him in Ava DuVernay's show by the name The Red Line, and he was great in it. It's a very emotional show about police brutality. So if you guys want to watch that that. It's a mini series. I guess it's only 6 episodes long, so I recommend that you watch it. So again, over at Smurf's house, Joshua is like studying for school, and Smurf comes in and she tells Joshua that she handled the problem with the Fed or the FBI or an investigator, detective that was up all in his business. And Joshua is like, "Thank you, Smurf." But Smurf isn't done. She goes very close to Joshua, and she tells Joshua that he should consider this instance as a warning, because next time she might not be able to help him. And that's why Joshua should keep him in the loop. Again, Smurf knows that Joshua killed Morgan, and that he stole some of her properties. So it will be interesting to see who comes out on top in this discussion. So it turns out that Angela comes back, and this time Pope opens the door, and of course he remembers Angela, and they bond over Julie, and Pope invites her in. So yep, like I said, I had this feeling that the detective that was after Joshua was someone Smurf knew, and turns out that it was, and Smurf just paid him. And even this person asked Smurf whether or not she thinks that Joshua is capable of murder. And Smurf is like, "You know what? He's only a kid. That's a murder is something he can't do." But you can tell the Smurf is very worried because of Joshua. So again, Pope and Angela are bonding. She talks about Julie, about how she is actually surprised that Joshua is living with the Codys, because she knows that Julie didn't want that. And it turns out that Angela is sober, she's clean, but she's still trying to find her footing because she was imprisoned. I think she came out of prison after what, like 2 years, a year, 3 years, I don't remember. So Pope invites her to stay at the house. while the rest of the Codys are enjoying this beach party. And this is where Craig tells Darren and Joshua about the job that Frankie wants them to do. And he tells Darren and Joshua that they can trust Frankie because Craig himself trusts Frankie. So over at the house, when Smurf comes back, she sees Angela inside the house, and you know that Smurf is angry. So, but she can also see that Angela is getting closer to Pope, and yeah, Smurf doesn't want that. So Smurf tries to play. She acts kind and all of that stuff, and Smurf is like, "Let's order pizza like old times." And Angela's like, "I'll pay." And Angela actually gives Smurf that same $100 bill that Smurf gave her to go away. Now, I don't trust Angela at all. I'm waiting to see what Joshua has to say about Angela because he knew her as her mother's friend. So yeah, Angela has a motive. She's up to something. I don't trust her. So in the flashback, we see that Janine has broken up with Jake and she's now with the other white guy. And yeah, again, like I said, she wanted power. She got it. And I guess this flashback also kind of tells about how women like Janine and Angela can see through which person or through which man they can get a power in the group. And that's why Smurf can see that Angela is trying to come closer to Pope because Pope is a powerful Cody family member, and Smurf isn't a fan of that. She doesn't want Angela near Pope. So yeah, at night, Smurf sees Angela sleeping in the sofa, and there's a lot of history there. And it'll be interesting to learn more about Julie, what happened to her. Maybe we'll get some Julie flashbacks, who knows. So you can see that Smurf isn't feeling well, and she tries to walk to her room, and she just falls on the ground. So yep, Smurf is ill. She has an ailment. Maybe her time is limited, but yeah, I enjoyed this episode a lot. I'll be doing a written review of this for the Geekiary down in the comment section below. Let me know what you guys thought about this episode down in the comment section below. And before I end this video, over at the Geekiary, we have this like 2 to 3 minute survey or feedback section. It's just a survey, so I'll be very I'll appreciate it if you guys go ahead and take the survey. It shouldn't take you more than 2 minutes. The link to that will be down in the comment section below. And it's like a demographic survey, your feedback, what you're interested in, what you want the website to cover. Because we use this data to make the Geekiary, our parent website, better and more interesting for you guys. So if you guys can spare a few minutes to take the survey, please do. Anyway, let me know what you thought about the episode. And until next time, stay happy, stay safe, stay blessed. See you guys later. Bye.